Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the next Foreman community demo. It's a miserable day here. It's really horrible. I'm freezing. I'm wearing a blanket. It was like 20 degrees 2 days ago. I guess that's just autumn. Anyway, I'm not going to rabbit on too much today. We have a really packed show for you. There's lots to cover. The usual reminders, do hang out on our IRC channel, Matrix channel, #theforeman, and come and ask questions there while we're live. The agenda for this can be found on the forum, so if you're watching it as a recording, you can go and ask questions there. If you are watching live, do remember to update the quality of the YouTube stream so you can see all the lovely text and browsers and things that our presenters are showing you. That's it, I think. Right, let's do it, shall we? So first, the usual announcements. What are we talking about today? First, quick reminder, the latest release for our old stable series, 1.18.2, is out. So go and have a look at that if you're still on the 1.18 series. And thanks, as always, to the people who put the packaging and release management efforts together, because you guys are all amazing. For today's show, we're going to be talking about a massive variety of things. We've got Catello-y things, we've got system level things, we've got changes to how you schedule things, we've got all sorts of stuff. So I really struggled to write an agenda for this one because there's like 10 completely different things. But this is kind of a rough cut. So there's lots of stuff to talk about. We do have some upcoming events. Just next week, we've got the Open Source Automation Day and Foreman Tech Day in Munich. So if you're in that area, if you're going to that, do let us know how it goes. I'm really interested. I'm not going to be there, sadly, so come and tell us about it. And I will be speaking at Open Source Summit EU Edinburgh, and I'll be hanging out at the Red Hat booth when I'm not actually doing my speaking. So if you happen to be at that event, then do come and chat with me. I'd be happy to talk. If you've not got tickets yet, I believe there are some left, but they are quite expensive. I think there's like hobbyist discounts and things. Anyway, so check it out. It'd be really great to see some friendly faces. Okay, enough from me because it's a busy day. So let's get straight on to our first presenter, Michael.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Johnson. I work with the Catello team. I am the intern at the moment. So, I wanted to just talk about a little bit. I have scheduled 5 or 10 minutes, but I really don't. I think it's going to take 5 minutes at the most. But I wanted to talk about Red Hat repository sorting, some changes that we made, especially in the UI portion. I assume my screen is being viewed. Yes, I'm screen sharing. My change kind of there's another change that Andrew Kofink on our team did as well. That kind of you'll see as part of this as well. But basically, after we changed to this new layout, when you would open up a show like the repo set of your Red Hat repositories, they would kind of be jumble as far as the order goes. And Andrew actually de-emphasized the Y streams, basically, if they weren't the most recent or the ones that we kind of recommended that you use, then they are now grayed out. So that way it's kind of like guiding you to the most recent. In addition to that, we did a new sort where we put those, we first grouped them by architecture, and I believe that they're done in reverse alphabetical order. So your x86 64 architecture, it says no repository is available, and I know that's not true because I just did these a bit ago. There we go. Here's an example. I guess because there were no repositories available, so it's probably doing a good thing there, right? We grouped them by architecture first. So get your x86 64, then i386. So you have both of those here. We put the server version at the top first, and they are darker, so that way you can kind of see this is the one that we want you to use. After that, it'll put both of those for every different architecture that you may have in this repo set at the top. And then you can see here, it'll start with 610. So it'll do it in descending order. So that way your most recent are at the top. As part of the de-emphasization as well, we've added kind of a little info pop-up to kind of explain why it's grayed out, why it's not suggested. But once you get through the descending numbers of this architecture, it's going to take you to the next architecture in that list, and it's going to give you those in descending order as well. So pretty simple change overall, but really useful from what I heard and from what I noticed myself. But yeah, that's pretty much all on my end.
Oh, you caught me out. I was still typing there. Okay, cool. So I don't think we've had any questions on that just now. Always remember that the YouTube stream's a little delayed, so hang around and we'll see what comes of that. But it's cool stuff. So that's pretty cool. Man, I'm repeating myself really badly today. I'll try and avoid that. Okay, so let's move on then, and we'll see if there's any questions for Michael in a bit. So moving on, we're going to have Postgres logging from Chris. What is this title, Chris? Welcome back. Did we have it before? I don't remember.
So yeah, my name's Chris Roberts. I work on Catello, and I do quite a bit of Foreman now. But basically, we did have Postgres logging. Postgres upstream, since we used the module upstream, decided to, instead of having the default parameter be have timestamps, they changed it to an undefined, so you can set that to whatever you want, obviously. But unfortunately, it doesn't work too well for what our use case is. So what I want to do is show you what it looked like before. And then I made a PR to the Foreman installer to fix that for us, so we have logging back, because it definitely comes in handy when you need to debug. So can everybody see my screen okay? Or can you see it, Greg?
I can see a cursor. Can you type something?
Yeah. Can you see it now?
Go a couple of lines down. The problem you always have when you're presenting or when you're working with Hangouts is that the top of the screen is usually covered by a massive green border.
Can you see it now?
Yes, I can see it now. That's
okay.
Fine.
So let me go ahead and show you what we currently had before. So this is what I just created some errors, but this is what we would have previously when Postgres set the parameter to undefined. But yeah, so it doesn't really help, because you look at this log and say, okay, that's Thursday or whatever, but you don't know when and where. So what let me go out of here and I'll show you what I brought the timestamps back, hence the title, welcome back. I wanted to welcome them back nicely. So now we have timestamps back. So it was something that was caught and reported, and I was like, you know what, we really need those back for just debugging and just information purposes. So that was my quick demo. I just wanted to welcome back the timestamps.
Cool. I think it is generally always a good idea to be polite to your database.
Yes.
I think they hold great power over us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. Well, it's good to have. I never even realized that had gone away. So yeah, it's good to see that back here. Okay, so we're going to move on, and we're going to have some auditing next. Sebastian, going to tell us what we're all doing wrong, right?
Well, wrong up until now.
Not that kind of auditing.
So I'm just going to show you quickly a bug fix regarding audits. We have in Foreman, of course, taxonomies, organization, and location. And up until recently, if you had created a resource like an architecture, let's simply create one. Let's say I686, send it to something. And if you would have gone to the audits previously, you would not have seen this unless you were an admin. Now this is fixed. I'm here logged in with a non-admin user, and if you go to monitor audits, you will see that there is now the audit for the architecture. If it's assigned to a location or an organization, it will, of course, not show up in this one if it's not matching. And resources like that are architecture, operating system, but also some resources in Catello. And if you have resources like that in your plugin, it will definitely find them and also show the audits now. That's it, basically.
That's it.
Yep.
I question people's ability to write accurate times in our agenda.
I wanted to have a buffer.
10 minutes, right? So let me just get this right though, because I'm finding time in this demo now. So
Yes.
this is we're now half of the way where we're supposed. We should be at 2:20 now. Anyway, I'm just teasing you. It's fine. Okay, so we'll move on. We'll move on to Martin then, shall we? So Martin, let's start with report templates.
Okay, so let me reshare my screen.
Not seeing much.
Yeah, now now it should be better.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so my name is Martin Boczowski, and recently I was working on reports feature, and the reports feature was introduced by Marek in last month, I think, and I've been doing some improvements there, so reading the reports is easier. If you check at the reports page, which is in the monitor submenu and in reports templates, you can see a list of reports, and till my PR was merged, the reports looked something like that. You can see in RB that we were reading the pure CSV generating from the RB text, and there were some problems with that in more complicated reports. One of them was that it was not easy to match the headers with its value, because all the data are in one row and are not bundled together. It was also difficult to comment out some columns in the report or reorder them or copy paste between the reports. And another problem was that it was not easy to create properly quoted CSV. So I tried to address this issue with introducing new macro for generating the reports. And the same report now looks like you can see. All the headers and its values are bundled on one line, so it's easier to comment out particular columns or reorder them by moving them up or down, or copy paste them from or to other reports. And the macro itself cares about the proper quoting and producing valid CSV. You can see in the preview that it produced some report, and as a side effect of my work, I added render into other formats, so you can easily change format to, for example, YAML. That's actually only one other that is implemented currently. And if you check at the preview, you can see the output is in different format. Another advantage is that the renderer cares about, for example, values of type list, and it will create a string from them, or in case of YAML report, it will include them as structured lists, so you can parse them from the report later by your tools. And that's about it for reporting.
That's very cool. Sorry, what did you say? The structured list when it's in CSV, what's separated? Is it use like a colon or semicolon for that?
Yeah, the structured list in CSV is serialized, and it's a comma separated list of values as a one value, and right. In YAML it is structured.
Okay, cool. I'll have to have a play with that.
As a list.
Okay. And so has this been added to like the template writing page that we've got with all our macros and things on?
Yeah, the macro was included in the Foreman course, so you can use it in your report. This report is currently work in progress and was not merged yet. So
right, okay, cool. But you'll go and add it to the wiki once it is, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Because we get lots of questions like, how do I know what's available in my templates, right? So we should keep that up to date. Cool. Okay. Well, sticking with Martin then, we're gonna also have a look at Foreman maintain. What do you got for us there?
Okay, so I'll share my terminal. You should see it now. Okay, so Foreman maintain. There is a service command that manages services that are related to Foreman, Catalo, or Satellite, and actually the functionality of Catalo service was moved there. There is one command that I struggled with using of, and that is service status. If you check how it looks like, Foreman maintain service status, the output is a list of various logs, is several pages long, and you are not able to see what's going on there. So what I've added there is one line at the end that sums up if all the services are running okay or not. I can show if we do systemctl stop, for example, squid, and rerun the status. You can see at the end that some services are not running, namely squid. I've also added two new more switches. One is dash failing. Or it could be shortened to just F, and you can see just the logs of the servicing that are failing. So you are not stuffed with the logs of services that are working properly, and you are usually not interested in those. Another flag that I've added to the command is dash brief or dash B, and it will show just sum up of the services, and you can easily see which are running and which are not. So yeah, that's about it for Foreman maintain status.
Nice. Yeah, nice to see that evolving and getting better all the time. Okay, I'll just do a quick check for questions. Take a moment here and see if we've seen anything else. No, other than just positive comments. There's no real questions going on. Cool. Okay, so let's move on then. So we're gonna speak to Andrew next with a new role for Foreman, I think.
Hi, you should be able to see my screen.
Yes, we can.
And today I'll be talking about a new role that we see by default. It's the system admin role, and it is a quite powerful role. If we take a look at the details, you can see that it has various permissions for organizations and locations, and user-related permissions as well. And the idea behind this role is that the user having this role will be able to kind of set up the environment for other users. And that's also why this user doesn't, even though it has permissions for locations and organizations, it's not possible for the user to see resources within these organizations. I'm already logged in as a system admin, as you can see, which is a user with this role. And basically, all I can access is the administer items, and then monitor. There are two important things to note. One is that this user can edit and view settings. So that's something that previously was possible only for the users that have the admin flag checked. And even though now I am not a user with admin flag, I can see the settings, I can edit them. And the other thing is that I can basically delegate roles that I don't have to other users. So if I try to create a new user, it is possible for me to actually add roles that I don't own. So that's something that should be noted. This role is intended for highly trusted users, and that's basically it.
Super. Sounds great. Useful addition to our set of pre-seed stuff. Let's face it, like creating roles is really painful, right? There's no way around it. It's just a lot of work figuring out exactly what permissions you need. So these pre-seeded roles do help people a lot, I think. Okay, so we're going to move on. Samir, tell us about what we've been doing around cron.
All right. I hope you can see my screen now. Yeah. So what I'm going to demo today is that we have put in a feature.
What should we be seeing? Just so I'm clear.
Can you see?
I'm getting your mouse cursor, but nothing else. It's just a black screen. Apart from that, are you using Wayland? That's a common indicator of someone who's on Wayland is when you get the mouse and not the window.
No.
Oh.
Okay, just a minute. Let me try again. You saying anything?
Just the mouse cursor again.
All right, let me try this and get that.
Everyone goes fast so that we can have 20 minutes of troubleshooting, right?
I can stop sharing and you can go ahead and try troubleshooting this.
All right, I'll move on and I'll be watching your stream even though no one else can see it. And once you get it working, just leave it alone and I'll come back to you.
All right.
Okay, cool. In that case, we'll move on to Stephen then. So let's talk about syspurpose. This is something we covered in a previous demo as a new thing. What have you got for us, Stephen?
Hey, can you see my screen?
I can see my chat window. Thanks for sharing that.
Great. So syspurpose is a new feature that was implemented in Candlepin. So basically, when you use Subscription Manager to register a host, there's a thing called autoattach that will try to do some intelligent things about which subscriptions it's going to attach to your host. So syspurpose is a new feature that lets you give some hints to Candlepin about possibly what subscriptions it should try to apply to a host. So I'm on my dev environment, which logged me out, so I'm still waiting for things to load. That's why you see nothing on my screen at the moment. But basically, there's 4 new fields. You can set the service level, which is going to be something like premium or standard support. You can set a usage type, which is going to be something like production or disaster recovery. You can set a role, which might be something like Red Hat Satellite or Gluster or something like this. And then the 4th field that you can set is something called add-ons. So the add-ons field is things like extended update support EOS or smart management for satellite. So we now have a UI for this on the content hosts page, which is still loading. I'm sorry about that. The dev environment is extraordinarily slow. You might have to come back to me, Greg, while this is loading. The JavaScript stuff is taking forever.
Okay, fair enough. I believe Samir's got his screen fixed, so let's go back to him. Let's go back to him while you get all your tabs in a row, and we'll be good.
Well, it was in a row, but then I got logged out.
Timeouts, no. Okay, so yeah, let's come back to you and let's talk about cron again while Stephen gets his tabs sorted.
Hey, so I believe you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So what I'm going to demo today is the ability to schedule sync plans using custom cron expressions. This is a continuation of a previous demo I gave, last demo. So I'll just go ahead and show it. Trying to. So I'll create a new sync plan. So if you see the intervals, we have added a new option, custom cron, and you can directly specify something in cron syntax, and you can still specify a start date. And so based on this cron syntax, so it will run on every 54th minute. So this is what this says. And you can have you can basically have any valid cron syntax here. So this is to run at 4:05 on every Sunday. And what this does is it creates a recurring logic in the backend, which is an existing functionality, and it will schedule the sync plan to run at this particular time. And that's it.
Nice. I remember us talking about that when you showed it without the cron. I remember us having the discussion about why was cron there if it wasn't a thing, and of course it was going to be a thing, and now it's a thing. So that's excellent. And it's good to see that come through. Okay, cool. I don't see any questions for anyone at this point. Stephen, how are your tabs looking?
Yeah, I can't show you anything. Webpack compile failed for some reason.
Fair enough. Okay, maybe for another demo then.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Or I will move on if you can fix it. Great, but whatever.
All right, I'll let you know.
Okay, so John, then let's talk about module streams.
All right, so we have been adding module stream support in Catello, and module streams are something that was introduced by RHEL as a way to manage the versions of packages on your server and what versions are actually available to the server when you update them. Last demo, I showed this top level page here. It's in content module streams, and now we've added the details to this page. So all these names are links. You can click on one and you get a bunch of details and this UUID, which is the pulp UUID. You get the repositories the module stream is found on with links back to the repository, profiles, all the different profiles for module streams, and the artifacts. So this is the RPMs that the module stream manages. And I have one other little thing to show is that when you have these profiles, there can be a lot of RPMs in there. It will truncate and you can expand it out. That's just a bunch of seeded in fake RPMs there. And this is also available in the other module stream pages. For instance, the products repositories page, you can, when you're clicking on the details for the repository, you can go to this module streams page here and you're linked again. And this is a PR, so it's pretty far along in the review process. So I felt like it was okay to share and want to get it into the demo today. But that is it.
Nice. Nothing too complex there, I think. Okay. Well, in that case, moving on. I think we have more module stream information coming from Partha.
Yeah, can you guys see my screen share?
Yeah, yours is working.
Yep, it's cool. Awesome. So just as John just introduced you all to module stream details page, there have been like a couple of other pages where we have updated the module streams info for this sprint. First one is the content view details. So I have a content view here, demo, that I created for the demo. Okay. And you can, yeah, so you can see the versions here. And when you go to the versions, we now have a module streams page that says, these are the module streams that are available for any system using this content view, any content host or any host using this content view. And Andrew created the one for the environment, lifecycle environment path. So I'll just quickly show that. So you can choose content host, lifecycle environments, and click on library, and you get this. You get this page. You get the details page here, and yeah, you can select the module streams, and you see similar details. And you can search by content views. You can search by repository. So, for example, I have the demo repository here. A demo content view, the one I just showed you the other screen. You click on that, and I have like 3 repositories that belong to the demo content view. So if I selected modular, these show all the repos all the module streams I have in the module repo belonging to the demo content view. But so the big part of the sprint the previous sprint we spent was on this page, on the content host page. So installing module streams on a content host, that's been our target and our end goal. So to put it in perspective, here I have let me share you my screen. Yeah, my terminal. So here I have Fedora 28. So it's already registered to the saddle. It's already registered to Foreman. And I do a DNF module list. Show the list of modules that are available. These are coming from the Foreman or Catello server. And here are the list of enabled modules. List of enabled modules I have here. Now I go to the module streams page, and you will see that the output here is very similar to what the DNF module list command showed. All the list of module streams that are available. You can choose to then go back and say, hey, I want to enable. Let's see if let's pick a repo that's module stream that's not enabled. So in my case, the ANT is not enabled, ANT is not enabled. So let me try that. So I can go and choose to enable a repo or repository or perform any of these actions. I can choose to customize them. So I can select customize and click on enable. This should take you to the remote commands page, which will let you further customize your DNF action. It's using the remote Rex templates for all of this. So my dev environment again is a little slow, but bear with it. So the job invocation has started. There you go. Here's the Rex command. It's going to run the DNF enable module enable action. There's going to be the module spec. If you want other options, like, I don't know, if you want to provide a profile name or tune any of these things, you can do that. Then you submit. And so on a production system, obviously it's going to be faster. It's just my dev environment is a little bit slower. But so here's the job. Let's wait for it to complete. It should take less than a minute. Or there you go. So you can look at the details here, and it will actually show you the command it ran. There you go. There's the command it ran. It ran DNF enable, and here's the output that it got. And if we now check DNF module is enabled, we should see there you go. We see the ANT 110 enabled. So you can perform any of the module stream commands, remote commands using the UI now. And this is all merged in master. That's pretty much what I had. If you guys had any questions.
Pretty cool stuff. I will just have a look. But I don't see any in chat just now. It's been cool. pretty quiet today. So that technically brings us to the end of the presenters. Just to give people a context here, the agenda says we have 55 minutes worth of content today. And we actually managed to top out 35. Some of that is unfortunate due to demos being broken, which is just, you can't do anything about that. But since we have a little time free, I will talk a little bit about what I've been working on this last few weeks. I was going to leave it off because we were packed out, but we have space. So I don't have a slide for this because I wasn't going to do it. But I have, as a lot of you know, I've been working on a lot of statistical stuff in the last few months, and I have continued on that. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what I've been doing. So firstly, I've put out an official announcement of the stats dashboard, which I hadn't done until just a few days ago. So if you haven't seen that on the forum already, you can go and have a read of that. Here's the post. It covers basically a couple of things. There's the main link to stats.theforeman.org, which I think I've shown on a previous demo, and a breakdown of what graphs are on there. But because I've shown those before, I'm not going to go over that again. I've also created an experimental area called /apps. So there's 2 at the moment, and I'm going to show those off now. I think I might have shown the time to merge before. If anyone's seen this before, so at me, and I'll stop talking about it because I might have covered this before, and I honestly can't remember. But this is an attempt to look at the time to merge data for all of our GitHub repos, basically. So we take all of the PRs that have been merged in the last 6 months. Well, that's not true. It's all the PRs that have been touched in the last 6 months. That might be a PR that was merged 2 years ago, but someone just got around to deleting the branch. So there is some older data here. But anyway, reasonably nice data set, and we can then ask ourselves, like, what's the average time to merge? And I've broken that down. There's a total time to merge in this column here. This is an alpha graph, that's why it's in the experimental area. So like the units aren't properly specified, and I need to do some rounding in this column and so on, but you get the idea. So we've got the time to merge here per repo. So you can see Foreman doesn't do too badly, actually, 8.5 days average. And then we've got it broken down by month here. So obviously you get this kind of columnar effect because I calculate it for the month and I date it as the first of the month. So you can see up here, that these should have repo names on and they don't. So that's a bug. And then we can actually, do something like say, okay, what's our most active repos? Well, actually, unsurprisingly, that's Foreman packaging, but then more seriously, Foreman, Catello, infrastructure, and so on. These things move reasonably fast. But, it's sort of 8.5 days for Foreman, 12.5 days for Catello. I think that's pretty reasonable time. And if you click on any of these, you'll get actually all of the PRs themselves. So you can actually have a look at exactly what's going on. So, excuse me. So you can actually look at the distribution across the last however long, this is about a year's worth of data here. You can spot the outliers. This one was, up at the 800 days mark. That's PR 5827 if anyone's interested. But if you want a more interesting look at the distribution, you can just get rid of those outliers and zoom right in here and have a play around. So that's that one. I'm pretty sure I've talked about that before. By all means, go and have a play with it. If you find anything interesting or if you find any bugs, let me know. I do want to clean this up, but the next steps for this one before it migrates to the main stats dashboard is to link this to the Redmine database so that we can actually do this by category. So you can look at various parts of the code base and say which ones are slower than others, and also to split it on things like first-time contributors, which should get special handling. First-time contributors should be well looked after. So anyway, that's a nice data set. You can have a play around with that if you're interested. The other one is long-time members of the community will remember that I used to do a section on the demo where I talked about things like the ranking of plugins and the ranking of compute resources. So I thought it was time to bring that back, and here it is. So this a caveat before I start talking about this. It's parsed from the Apache logs of our repos, right? The yum logs and the deb logs. These are notoriously unreliable. People do mirroring, people download all sorts of random stuff. There's people still downloading packages from Foreman 1.0. Take this with a lot of salt. But in terms of trends rather than raw numbers, I think there's still something useful here. And I do want to subset this by Foreman version, at least for the yum side of things, where we have a versioned plugins repo. Sadly, the debs are not. You just have a generic plugins repo, so we can't say anything about that. But we can do it by core Foreman version for the yum logs, which I will probably do at some point. Anyway, so you can get this is a list of, I think, the top 20 plugins. The data is over slightly more than 2 weeks now. That heading is wrong because I'm saving the data and adding to it every week. So we're going to build up a better picture of how these things go. This data is somewhat suspicious. I'll show you why. If we click on just Foreman VMware over the last couple of weeks, you can get a nice little plot of the sort of daily downloads of a particular plugin. And where it gets a bit suspicious is where you have more than one. And if it weren't for that Ansible crossing the lines there, if I don't click on Ansible, right, you could start to get really suspicious about these lines because they all look pretty much exactly the same. So I suspect there might be something interesting going on in the Apache logs that might need some handling. I haven't quite, maybe some seasonality, time series analysis, whatever. There's all sorts of interesting quirks to that kind of analysis. So do, again, take this with some care, but at least you can take a look at, say, a bunch of compute resources and see that they don't really change much. But equally, you can look at, Ansible and compare that to, say, what we got, Salt and Chef, and there you go. So there's some nice data there. So you can play around with these things. I do think it's got some value for trend data. I don't think it has value for raw numbers. Please don't use those. I might even just take them off so you can't. In any case, just because I used to report this kind of thing, I thought I'd bring it back. I do have a similar graph that will be coming shortly, which is to do with the actual use of Foreman version itself. And that's not based on the HTTPD logs. It's slightly more reliable. So I've got a nice, I want to see if I can find it actually. Give me a moment and I might well be able to find it for you. Where did I put it? Because I'd forgotten I could show this, so I haven't prepared it. I'll have to dig back through my logs to find what I do with it. This one isn't an app, it's just a single graph. Let's see if I can get this to come. Here we go. Did that work? Let's see. Yes, here we go. So this is me attempting to look at our RSS widget, which by default gets things from our blog, so we can try and say something about that. So yes, it does come from the Apache logs, but it's not from the package logs. And so this is a nice little graph. It just shows you the growth of 119 since it was released back at the start of September, I think. What I find interesting is that the other two graphs haven't gone down, but I'm assuming this is because people are goes on. Hopefully we'll see that sort of starting to merge. So I have some different interpretations of this data that needs to get turned into an app at some point. Okay, so yes, statistical stuff. I'm having fun with that. There is more stuff coming to stats.theforeman.org. If you find any problems, see this link down here, issues on Redmine. You can log ideas for new graphs, or you can log bugs with existing graphs and tell me all about what's wrong with it or what you'd like to see and what's useful for what you're doing. And I will see what I can do to make that happen. Okay, I think that will do for today. I'm just going to see if we've got any final messages. Everett has pointed out that most of the core compute resources will come from the same source RPM, so that they're probably all linked in time, which explains some of my data, right? Okay, it's a good point. Right, let me switch back to the slide deck and we can wrap this up. There we go. So thanks very much to all the presenters today, even the ones that massively padded how much time they needed. Looking at you, Sebastian. I'm just winding you up, it's fine. But thank you all for presenting. Thank you all for watching. Follow us in the usual places. And for now, do take care.